Well, good evening. This is Wednesday nights at 7, and I look forward to hearing each of you join me this evening. And of course,
well, good evening. This is
the wonderful thing about technology is that we get to see we get to see and hear things twice sometimes. So my apologies for the background sound. And I'm just so excited about the year 2022. And even more excited that you are joining me this evening. And tonight we're going to have a wonderful panel discussion afterwards, led by Peter Darrell, all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa, supported by Bucks from Port Elizabeth on the south coast of South Africa, and Amelia in Pretoria. And so to everyone who's not from South Africa, we welcome you. This is an exciting time to be living in. And I believe that we are living for such a time as this. For the past 18 months, the world has been preparing for a new era. And the new era is, I believe, the era of purpose. So I'm going to be speaking to you this evening on the subject of purpose. And the first interesting thing about purpose is when I looked up the definition, it says purpose is the original intent of a thing. And of course, everything that is created was preceded by a purpose. So if we believe there is such a thing as purpose, then we have to also acknowledge that we ourselves have been created. And I'll talk a bit more about that later on in the session. But purpose is the original intent of a thing, or let's say something, or someone. And Miles Monroe puts it like this. He says that life without purpose is death. And for those of you who have been part of Map for Life for some time, you will know that our purpose or our mission is to make life purposeful. So if life without purpose is death, then our mission is to make people come alive. And I feel that 2022 is going to be a year that people come alive, that people connect with purpose. It is not dependent on your age. I believe that whatever age you are, when you connect with your purpose, it's going to ignite something inside of you that nothing else can. You know, when I was looking at this word purpose, there's one person that I think everybody needs to read his writings, and those are the writings of Miles Monroe, Dr. Miles Monroe. And he's got many, many quotes on purpose. But what struck me is he says that where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. And I just wonder how many people are working in environments that are not aligned with their purpose. And as a consequence, they are feeling the effects of abuse because they're being used for someone else's purpose and not pursuing the purpose that they were born to pursue. When I look at purpose, it's important to recognize that purpose is inbuilt, not inherited. You know, we come from a world where in days gone by, if your father was a thatcher, then the sons became thatchers. If the mother was a baker, the daughters may have become bakers. And we kind of had these professions that were passed down from one generation to the next. Don't confuse profession with purpose. Profession is what you do. Purpose is why you do it. And so when we look at purpose, it's the very reason, it's the essence of life. So purpose is not inherited, it is inbuilt. It is already inside of you. I remember the last time I listened to Dr. Miles Monroe speak, it was at a facility in Pretoria, the capital city of South Africa. And while he was talking, he looked in my direction. I almost felt he was looking right into my soul. And he said this, he said, purpose, or he said, your future does not lie ahead of you. It is within you. What he was saying is that your very purpose, the very essence of your life, the DNA is already encoded inside of you. So you and I, although we have the birthright to choose whatever we want to purpose our lives for, we can only discover our true purpose. And the reason I say discover your true purpose is because your purpose preceded your creation. You see, purpose is defined by the need that you and I have come to meet. And so everything that you and I create is only created after a need is identified and understood. Once the need is identified and understood, it guides the process of the creation of the thing that is there to meet the original need. So purpose certainly precedes creation. So although you can choose to purpose your life for something, true purpose can only be discovered. I was talking just now about inbuilt versus inherited. And that reminds me of the fact that our purpose is aligned with our gifts and talents, not our learned skills. So it's about your born gifts and talents, not your learned skills. I remember some years back talking about a poster that was on a wall or displayed on a wall. And this poster had a big block in the center of the poster, maybe like the picture frame behind me. If you could just imagine for a moment, in the center of that picture frame, a square block. And below the picture were a number of small colorful blocks moving towards this big square in the center of the page. And above the big square were perfectly straight lines, but instead of the blocks being full of color, they were now gray. And you know, the big square in the center of the page had a title, and the title of this big square was SCHOOL, school. And today, the governments of the world are educating purpose out of people. And so now we have an adult population of people who can no longer discover their purpose, because when they are seeking to discover their purpose, they're looking through the lens of their learned skills, not through their born gifts and talents. And of course, anything that is purpose aligned, that we connect with in terms of our purpose, if it doesn't make money, which is what we have been learning to do, we suddenly discount that purpose. You know, it cannot be mine because we cannot see how we can make money out of it. Why is that? Well, when it comes to our born gifts and talents, the things that we love to do come naturally to us. Whereas when it comes to a learned skill, it's only the things that are difficult to do that people seem to be willing to pay for. So we strive to do the things that are difficult so we can get a good income, when we were born to do the things that come absolutely natural to us. So purpose is not inherited, it is inbuilt. It can be chosen, but true purpose is discovered. We need to look through the lenses of our born gifts and talents, not our learned skills. I remember one year sitting in a hotel lobby or lounge, perhaps, and I was waiting for a meeting which didn't happen. I don't know if you've ever attended one of those important meetings where your guest or the other party of the meeting didn't arrive. Well, I've had a few of those in my life, and I'm sure the panel can also attest to opportunities where they have had people not show. And on this particular case, I had driven 2.5 hours to meet with this particular individual. And so I was a little bit more than frustrated that they hadn't arrived. And they had a very good excuse as to why they hadn't arrived. In fact, it was so good, I can't remember what it was. But on that particular occasion, I decided, instead of wallowing in this place of anger or self-pity or whatever it was, I decided to think about purpose. And while I was thinking about purpose, I began to think about the comfort zone. You know, that place we seem to all aspire to be in. We just love to be in a place of comfort. We want to kind of kick off our shoes, put our feet up and sit back and watch television. And we think that's what life is all about. And I was thinking about this comfort zone, and it suddenly dawned on me that the place, or rather the comfort zone, is that place where people who simply exist live. Beyond the comfort zone is the place where people who really live exist. You see, when it comes to purpose, if I can use an example, if purpose was to create order from chaos, then your comfort zone, the place that you will feel happy in, is the place that is ordered. You know, when you step into a place that is ordered and everything is just working like a Swiss clock, you would be that kind of person that just has that sigh of relief. You know, you step in there and say, now this is what I call life. But, you know, it doesn't take very long where you're going to begin to realize there's nothing for you to do in that place. The interesting thing is that beyond the comfort zone is the place of disorder. It's the place of chaos. It's, in fact, the very place that you avoid, or do whatever you can to avoid. Point fingers at those places and ridicule people that are in that place of chaos. But you know, the day that you step into that place of chaos, what happens is you suddenly realize that for the first time, there's something that you can do. I mean, when you're in that place of chaos, you can, for the first time, make a purposeful difference. You can begin to turn the chaos into order. And it's when you reach that place that you understand what purpose is all about. Because purpose is where you can create order from chaos. So the environment that you thrive in is the environment of chaos, because when you are there, you can do what you were born to do, and that is to transform the things around you and not conform to them. And so this evening, I want to encourage you, because this Wednesday, the first Wednesday of 2022, wow, what an exciting time to be living. Because right now, this is the year that you and I are stepping into what I believe is the purpose era. And not only are you stepping into the era of purpose, but you are very much a part of this new and exciting journey. In fact, when I say new and exciting, it's been around since the beginning of time, because every single purpose born was born for a purpose and for such a time as this. So I want to encourage you. It doesn't matter what has happened in the past. It doesn't even matter what has happened in the first few days of this year. All that matters is that your heart is beating, that you have a desire in your heart to ask the right questions, to seek with all your heart, so that you can discover that answer to the question why. So many people are asking, why am I here? I hope that in this year, you change that question from why am I here to the right statement, which is here I am. And when you switch that question to a statement from why am I here to here I am, I believe you will start taking the steps towards discovery of your purpose. And when you do, you're going to be able to pour your life out the way it was intended, and you will be able to impact the lives of others in such a way that your influence will live on from generation to generation to generation. My prayer for you this year is that this is going to be your year of purpose. This is going to be a year when you connect with your passion. This is going to be a year when you start getting a pulse that beats or pulsates rather with life. Because when you connect with purpose, you in fact become alive. Join us every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. And from this coming week, we're going to be starting some other channels which are going to be great to hear. And the first one is going to be one which I think we're going to call Story Time. And that is going to be a very exciting opportunity where you can hear other people's stories of how they are journeying in this field of purpose. We'll see you next week, Wednesday, same time, same place. And just after this ad or brief ad, you will be introduced to the panel led by Peter Darrell. Good night.
Thank you, Glenn. That was wonderful. Friends, good evening to you all and Happy New Year. For me, it's a wonderful year, a wonderful start. I've been involved with Map for Life since Christmas 1999, when I got the first edition of Map for Life, which was in those days called Your History in the Making. And I was just looking at that as Glenn was talking, and it was way back in 1999, he wrote, "Pursue your purpose with passion and perseverance. Make history." That was literally 21 years ago. And certainly Glenn's been a wonderful example to all of us in the Map for Life arena, leading the way on preaching of passion and purpose. And I just love the way he spoke about Miles Monroe. And I've actually attended a couple of sessions where Dr. Monroe has been the speaker, and what an inspiring man he is. And with me tonight on the panel, I've got Amelia from, as Ben said, from Pretoria, and Bucks from Port Elizabeth. So my first question to the panel is, have you guys had the privilege of meeting Miles Monroe? And have you actually listened to him live? And have you read his books? And would you like to comment on it?
Peter, hi, good evening, everybody. Yes, in fact, I met Dr. Miles Monroe at a event where it was after a Map for Life event, and he was at a church in Pretoria East where he did a discussion. And I was privileged there to meet him. He was down here with his family members. They were all on stage, and it was an absolutely amazing experience. Now, there's also a lot of his stuff available on YouTube, and if you go online on the internet, there's a lot of his quotes, really a lot of interesting things and a lot of interesting statements. He left a legacy behind. And yes, I was absolutely fortunate to meet him.
Bucks, what about you?
I never had the privilege to meet him, but I read a lot of his stuff. In actual fact, currently my eldest son is doing a lot of studies and which involve a lot of the material, Miles Monroe material, and I get WhatsApps every day from him, and this is what Miles Monroe said. This is what's happening. So yeah, I think one thing that I like him, to be honest, what he says about passion is what a lot of other people say about passion, but he says it differently. Just the way he says it, the way you can actually feel his passion when he talks about passion. So he's really a person that really can talk about passion and get people passionate about their own passion.
Now, if I'd known that Glenn was going to be talking about Miles Monroe, I would have had a couple of his books here, and I would have produced them. But what is interesting is that the book I happened to pick up as I was waiting for Glenn was by Dr. T.D. Jakes, and the book that I've got here is entitled Destiny. Step into your purpose. And so much of what Glenn has just been talking about, and what Miles Monroe says as well, is that we were born for a purpose. T.D. Jakes calls it we destined, and that's what our purpose is all about, is our destiny. And I think it's something that we need to spend time thinking about. Any comments there?
Yes, Peter, while I was reminded tonight while Glenn was talking about purpose, etc., about a quote of Arthur H. Prince that I've read once. It went something along the lines of, the purpose of life is not to be happy. The purpose of life is to matter, to be productive, to have made some difference that you have lived at all. And I think that is what it's about. It's that legacy. If you look at people like Jim Rohn, for example, and the legacy he left behind as well. There are so many amazing teachers that were so focused on purpose and making sure that you focus on the right things in life, that became very evident in the last couple of years. It's absolutely amazing. It's, for me, it is always about the legacy that people are leaving behind, and the legacy that these people, like the doctor as well, refer to.
Yeah.
No, I agree totally with you. Now, Bucks, what do you say about purpose at your age?
Yeah. I was thinking while Glenn was talking, I was asking the question, why was I moved to Port Elizabeth?
Wonderful, yes.
And one thing is I said, this is I was in an environment where everybody knew me, they would listen to me, and I talked to them, and and some of them say I made the difference in their lives, etc., etc. But I got into a comfort zone where I really became really comfortable with myself and the way I live my purpose and the influence that I have with other people. And I just realized that is why I've been taken away from my environment that I've been living in for ages, or probably my whole life, put into a totally new environment so that
Wonderful.
I can just refocus on my purpose and why am I here? And like Glenn said, I'm here. Why? And I just need to go back and find that. And you know, there's a lot of people that are really, really powerful when they talk about purpose. Really, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of books and stuff like that. And
Yes.
and some of them were talking about purpose for decades now. So it's not something new. But as Glenn said, I just become aware of the fact that there's a new vibe in terms of people wanting to know why they do what they do. And I work with businesses a lot, and this is something that people now starting to ask us, why am I in the business that I am in the moment? And it's not about money. So why am I here? And like Amelia says, it's to get them to understand that we're all here to leave a legacy. I don't like the word success. And Glenn has mentioned that a number of times. I don't like the word success. I say I don't want to be successful. I want to be significant.
Yes, amen.
And this is what I want to say to people. You don't need to be a successful business, but be a business that has significance, that changes the lives of people. And it's nothing wrong with making money, that's fine. But the main purpose, and I'm actually from my HR background, I'm now doing this, and I'm doing a whole process on that. It's not the business that I do. It's not what I do. There's a lot of people that does the same. But how do I develop my people to become what they need to be and make that difference in my business? And
Wonderful, wonderful.
So there's a new vibe. There's totally a new vibe. I just experienced that.
I just opened up T.D. Jakes' book, and he talks about, I've walked the halls of Congress and seen representatives and senators still serving at the age of 80, and wondered why so many of us buy into the notion that our contribution to life ends at 65. Mm-hmm. And that's really what I really wanted to hear from you, that at 65, we're only just getting started, and we've got a whole lifetime ahead. And I think we were reminded of that fact with Archbishop Tutu passing last week, and at the age of 92, and he was still at that age making a significant contribution to being significant in South Africa, and sort of set the benchmark for us and so on. I don't know how you felt about that.
No, absolutely. You know, Peter, Bucks, age is just a number.
Yeah.
It is a programming. You know, the whole issue of retirement was a system that was implemented after, I think it was the Second World War. And it was merely implemented because there was a scarcity of jobs, and they wanted to bring more young people into the job market, and then they implemented. It is actually a ridiculous concept. You know, we must all carry on and live our lives to the fullest until the last day. End of story. You know, there is no expiration date on fulfilling your purpose. or leaving a legacy.
I
You know,
agree totally. I agree totally with that. How do you folk feel about 2022? Is there anything special about 2022?
2022 is the year where everybody's dreams are going to come true. I think, you know, the period that we went through, you know, that we all hope is now coming closer to an end. I think in a big way, we were very, it was a very good thing for us to go through, to get out of the rat race, to start considering the things in life that are really, really important to us.
Yes.
You know, you refer to it as the vibe, Bucks. It's that so many people came to the realization that there's more to life. So many more people are asking the right questions. I think we now got to 2022 where people want to know, why am I here? What is the meaning of my life? What have I come to do? And that I love the new vibe. I love seeing people asking these questions. It was a difficult thing, and we had to come to a complete halt and stand still to ask the right questions. So I think we were fortunate to have been able to go through this period in humankind's history.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Amelia says. You know, I think that COVID did us a lot of, a lot of favor. What it did, it started to force people to come out of the comfort zones and to say, what do I now do? And people started to think about the next step. So it was great to. Unfortunately, there were a lot of people that went under because they couldn't make the shift or they couldn't make the mental adjustment. But the COVID taught us that we need to think every day about what are we here for? What are we supposed to do? What can we do? What can we do to make this world and the environment that I stay in a better place?
Yes. I certainly found it. And when I say challenging, I'm saying challenging in a wonderful way. That I look back on 2020 and 2021, and I certainly grew. I think more than I've done at any other stage. So it was it was a wonderful time, and I just think, as we've been through those 2 years, and that 2022 is just a wonderful time, and I'm excited about what's happening. And I think one of the things that I'm excited about is the technological developments in Map for Life, and how we started this. And I don't believe we would have started programs like this if it hadn't been for COVID and the lockdown. And it's just given us an opportunity of exploring new ways of doing things, and it's been really exciting. And I just think it's one of the great developments. And I talk about our centered Map for Life, and how we moved from just a little local parochial map cafe to an international global event, and where we've got people from New Zealand, from Zimbabwe meeting on a regular basis, and to hear what's happening elsewhere is so exciting. And I'm excited with the things that I hear about Zimbabwe. I listen to the news, and I hear negative things coming out on the news. But when you talk to our Map for Life colleagues in Harare and places like that, it's wonderful to hear what is happening. And it's all, I believe, has been a direct result of the lockdown and forced changes upon us. And it's wonderful to see those sort of developments. Yes. Amelia?
Yes, absolutely, Peter. It is really amazing to see the difference that COVID brought in the sense of the way we do things. You know,
Yes,
if I think back of the amount of Zoom calls and people interaction, we actually had so much interaction with people online, and it makes it so much easier. It saves time. You are still able to interact with people and see people, etc. And we are able to do so much more at a much lower cost. People don't have to travel anymore to go to places to go and
yes,
listen to a talk. They can simply listen to it in the comfort of their own home. And I think it made it accessible for so many more people, you know, absolutely awesome. So it brought a lot of good things. And yes, like you said, even with Map for Life, um, it is really great to see how easy it is to bring the message across and how easy it is for people to get access to the messages and the information that they need and the online programs. It's absolutely awesome.
yes. I was just listening to Buxton. He was talking about the YouTube that Miles Monroe has produced, and things like that. I think are exciting, and it's just so easy to learn and to acquire those things. Um, and any comment there, Bux?
I totally agree with that. I think we at the stage where and Map for Life we've got the tool to assist people and companies with that. To say, it says, look, knowledge was the main thing. Everybody wanted knowledge and skills.
Yes.
And everybody wants to go to university, and I say, there's a lot of universities or education that's going to fall away because what I often say to people is if you have a problem, you can Google it and you'll get 10, 12, 15 answers to your problem.
Yes.
And you don't have to know a thing. I was watching where we moved in. We had a problem with the gate motor, and it was a fairly new gate motor. So the outcome a technician, and he says, "Oh, this is a new motor. I don't know. I haven't worked on them." But he took out his cell phone, clicked on his cell phone. Before within 5 minutes, he had the whole structure and plan on how to deal with this new motor. So he didn't have to go. He didn't have to go on a training course to do that. So we sit in a situation where we can do everything we want to do, and we can get a message across without a lot of hassles.
Wonderful, and I think it's a brilliant example. The other thing that struck me was that Glenn was talking about how our purpose comes from within. It comes from the gifts and talents that we were born with. It's not the stuff that we learn in the education system. We need to get back to those things. Where do we feel that passion? What do we get excited about? And with respect, I don't think it comes out of a textbook and that sort of thing, sitting in a classroom. I think it's something far greater than that.
And the other thing, which is now also becoming, and this is something that I really feel passionate about, is in South Africa, we need to get that right. We need to start to, in the workplace, in wherever, in our clubs, in our society, wherever, we need to get to the stage where we start to engage with people. And I'm talking about, I need solid engagement, build solid relationships.
Yes,
because in my little group of my network, and let's just call it a business network where there's 15, 20 people, there's at least 40% will have the answer that I need now. we just need to get to the stage that we say it's not about what I know and what I do is, but what can I help other people and how can I help the rest of the world,
Yes.
and to become significant and live a life of abundance.
Bucks, what role does your network play in that?
That's a difficult thing, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was now put in a different network, because the networks that I work in at the moment don't think about these things. For them is this. I just need to survive. I just need to make enough money so that I can pay my bills, and for them it's a matter of survival and not about if I can get to my purpose and live my purpose, and I can get other people to live their purpose, and we're all in that same boat, rowing in the same direction, then it can change the world.
And Amelia, you're big on networks. Would you like to comment on that?
Yes, absolutely. Just something that Buck said now that I was thinking of. When I spoke to an employee one day, and I said to him, "We all in this together."
Oh.
And he turned around and he said something that I will never forget. And he said, "Yes, we are all in the storm together, but each one of us has a different boat." And that's something that I often think of, and that is when you look back at, like Buck said, if you look back at your networks, or you look at your networks, we came for a purpose that the world cannot be without at this very moment. We were issued, or we came with all the talents, all the gifts that we need. It doesn't mean that we have everything that we need to implement our solution. And that's where our networks become so important. We must be able to also tap into the talents of other people and know which people to involve where to help us, because it is humanly impossible for one person to have everything that they need to solve the problem. But you have the majority of whatever is needed for the solution, and then you need to call onto your networks and draw them in to assist you with the rest.
I want to add what Milo says. The interesting thing about this is that if I ask somebody else to help me, I make them feel good about themselves.
Yes.
In other words, they feel needed, and that's what we need to get right. And it's that everybody needs everybody, because I have some skills, I have some knowledge, I have some abilities, but I don't have it all. So I need other people, and once they know that I need them, and they make a worthwhile contribution, it changes their lives.
Absolutely. And also, if you think about it, in order for your legacy to continue, there must be people that will move forward with it. You must be able to involve other people, so that when the day that you are not there anymore, that they can continue with your legacy.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important not to just want to do everything all by yourself.
Yes.
You need that network.
Yeah. One of the things I wrote down this year was your network is your net worth. And Amelia, it just follows on to what you've just said. If you can create and build your network, it's a case of you can expand your legacy through that network. And I think one of the things is that we were born to work in that network. We think of the bee and how the bee flutters from flower to flower. And I'm saying part of our network is related to that thing, that we, like the bee, we just move on around our network and being the light in the world, in our network, and that shining light for others to follow. As I look to 2020, I'd like to sort of just close with a thought of let's keep hope alive and transform not only just South Africa, but transform the world. And how the vision for Map for Life is positive global influence. And so that's what I'm talking about. So guys, thank you for being here. I think I thoroughly enjoyed this. I hope you have. And good night to all.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Thank you.
When you're feeling small, like there's no hope at all, just remember this dream is bigger than you know. Yeah. And when things